Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. The crisis in the Edo State chapter of the All Progressives Congress added a new dimension over the weekend when Governor Godwin Obaseki's guests and a host of other dignitaries were attacked at Iyamho country home of the APC National Chairman Edo Oshiomhole by some suspected thugs. The governor and the other guests had attended the maiden convocation of the Edo University in Iyamho, Etsako, West Local Government Area of Edo State. According to reports, it took the intervention of the governor's security to prevent a bloodbath as several vehicles were smashed by the hoodlums. Kassim Afegbua joins us now from our Rise Abuja studio, and we have here in Lagos, Ehi Braimah, a PR and marketing strategist. Gentlemen, welcome to the morning show.
Thank you. Good morning.
Yes, Ehi Braimah, it's good to have you with us in the studio in Lagos.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
And Kassim Afegbua, good morning.
Good morning.
Hello,
good
Kassim.
morning, thank you.
Yes, Kassim, good to have you here. Well, the two of you...
I can hear you. Good morning.
Yes, Kassim and the two of you are from Edo State. What is happening in your state? And what do you think is at stake? What is responsible for this collapse of amity on all fronts within the All Progressives Congress? Kassim Afegbua, let me have your take first.
Well, thank you very much. I do hope you understand that I'm fully a member of the PDP now.
I know.
was a member of the APC and I serve as a
moved to the PDP, yes.
Yeah, okay.
But you are a stakeholder in Edo State politics.
Yeah. Yes, I am a stakeholder, and thank you for the opportunity of this interaction. It's quite unfortunate the kind of scenario we are seeing in Edo State in the last 2 years. It's been one attack too many. And for us, we should be leveraging on the gains of having, first, our own son as the national chairman of the APC, and also one of us as, governor of the state, as it should be. But the love lost between the two of them is rubbing off on so many other issues in the state, and to the extent that the state is becoming militarized, radicalized, and there seems to be a reign of anarchy, so to speak. But if you trace the incident, you discover that much of the crisis in the states are usually pointed in the direction of the government. How do I mean? In 2017, to be precise, on May 17, 2017, one Blessing Agbomere, who is a member of the PDP, was attacked. Was a member of APC. He was attacked at the Benin airport by pro-government, thugs. And he specifically pointed accusing fingers at the deputy governor, who he had earlier had altercation with at the Abuja airport. In 2018, Matthew Orogide, the single senator Matthew Orogide, was also, attacked at the Benin airport for daring to raise questions over impeachment or likely or possible impeachment of the president of the country in the hallowed chambers of the Senate. In 2019, we have series. First, Edo civil society groups were protesting over the issue of Edo Specialist Hospital and the ownership structure. They were attacked just barely 2 weeks ago. Comrade Adams Oshiomhole resident was also reportedly attacked. So when you look at the concatenation of some of these attacks, you tend to agree that if they are not government sponsored, then they won't be able to flourish, because the governor of the state is the chief security officer of the state, and he should have opportunity, to maintain or provide security that will, mitigate all these attacks. The last one, which is the latest one, is the Iyamho attack, where you saw the deputy governor rode on Okada motorbike down to the venue of a convocation ceremony in a university. And my understanding of a university is a place of learning, a place of discipline, a place where the atmosphere must be enabling enough to promote good conduct in such a way that the purpose for the university will be achieved. You have invited dignitaries from far and near to come and participate in your convocation, which is the maiden edition, of a university set up by the comrade governor. And in the final analysis, you could see they turned it to a campaign ground, as if it was a campaign rally. That, to me, was what, let off the steam that led to the confrontation amongst thugs, hooligans, and supporters, if you like, on what we saw on Saturday.
Yeah, Kassim, if I get you right, you are blaming the state government. And this is more or less what Comrade Oshiomhole said, that there was no way that level of, thuggery could have taken place without the knowledge of the governor himself. The governor, of course, has denied. The deputy governor has denied.
Doctor.
Yes, please go ahead.
Doctor, it's not about deniers. On your screen now, you are showing footages of amateur video of the deputy governor arriving in the venue of a university that was supposedly going to conduct a convocation ceremony. You could see the number of motorbikes. You could see the number of persons. That's not a campaign rally. It's not a campaign rally. It's not a party activity. Even during campaigns, universities' environment are forbidden from carrying out campaigns in university environment. Parties are forbidden from carrying out campaigns in university environment, let alone when you are having a convocation that is a serious academic exercise and you are carrying this number of persons. It is one thing for you to mobilize people to the venue of a convocation or even a rally. It's another thing for you to be able to control them.
Okay, Kassim, let's bring Ehi Braimah. Let's bring Ehi Braimah into the conversation. I'd ask, what is happening in Edo State. I know I lived there many years back in the old Bender State when it was very peaceful and everybody was everybody's friend. But to hear that 1,000 thugs could be mobilized for just one event, so I'm surprised. I'm shocked.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I must confess that what we all witnessed last weekend at Iyamho is not a good advertisement for Edo State, the peace-loving people of Edo State. I think it has gotten to the point of embarrassment. And to be very honest, Edo people are very warm. Edo people are friendly. Edo people are law-abiding citizens, and we respect our elders and traditions. So, I'm proudly an Edo citizen, and what we are witnessing clearly, you cannot remove it from the bigger context of the political issues that are playing out in Edo State. Politics of relevance, politics of power play, And I think it is important we understand what this whole problem is all about. I have done a dipstick survey, sounding opinions here and there, and as you would expect, naturally, you have people on both sides. Some people supporting His Excellency, the Governor Godwin Obaseki, and of course, Comrade Oshiomhole. Why I'm personally disturbed, before I look at how I frame those, key issues. You have a State House of Assembly where the 24 members are from the same party. 24 over 24. That's number one. Number two, the immediate the governor of Edo State is the only APC governor from the whole of the South and the Southeast. The only APC governor. And then thirdly, you have a national chairman of the APC who is also from Edo State. And in fact, the immediate past governor of the state on the same platform of APC who ruled for 8 years. And people are asking, what is happening in your state? What is wrong with you people? Even last night, I was still listening on radio, Inspiration FM, when Oshiomhole was talking to Osa Odia in Benin City on this same crisis. Everywhere you go, what is happening in your state? And it's getting to the point of ridicule. I want to believe that at the end of the day, it is like two brothers who are fighting. Or even husbands and wives, they quarrel and disagree. But they must have the presence of mind to come together to resolve their differences. And I think at the end of the day, we need to pursue peace, as the governor rightly said, after the fracas last Saturday, and to know that it was a major event, the first convocation ceremony of Edo University, with so many dignitaries, like even the Oba of Lagos. You can imagine the embarrassment. That was totally unacceptable under any circumstance. And the issue about pointing fingers, and I think, more importantly, the chairman of the APC, Comrade Oshiomhole, I think at this time should really play the role of a father and a statesman. He should bring his house, bring everybody together. That is my honest advice to him. Because you cannot be the national chairman of APC, and the state you should pretend over for 8 years is going through this crisis that is becoming a national, in fact, global embarrassment. All of those citizens are worried all over the world. We are embarrassed and we are disturbed. So we want peace.
Mr. Braimah, we have to go on a very quick commercial break. And Mr. Afegbua, we will be right back with you in our Abuja studios right after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back to the morning show here on Horizon News, and we're still looking quite deeply into the crisis in Edo State, and we have Kassim Afegbua in our Abuja studios, and here in Lagos we have Ehi Braimah with us. Thank you for staying with us. Now, before we went on a break, he was speaking about the fact that you feel as though at this point Adams Oshiomhole should come forward as a father figure and sort of pull his house together, and he should stop trying to play this power play that he is playing out at the moment. But it doesn't seem as though that's what he wants to do, because this has gone on for such a long amount of time, and when two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers. So if he's not going to do that, what are the repercussions of this ongoing problem?
I repeat that the national chairman of the APC should play the role of a statesman and put his house in order. He's from Edo State. He ruled for 8 years. And of course, I wrote an opinion piece on this same matter sometime in June. It was published in some of the printed and online newspapers. Then I was voting for peace, that they should come together. I know the role he played, campaigning for Obaseki to become the governor of Edo State. Of course, there are other issues that are at play. And as I mentioned, they all have to do with relevance and, being in charge of Edo State. But of course, there's nothing wrong with Obaseki himself, the governor, trying to be his own man. And to be very fair to His Excellency, the governor, he has a mandate to serve his people. And he says he wants to focus on service delivery. But at the same time, I understand that some feathers have been ruffled, in the political process. So what all of this is leading to is all about 2020, about whether he will be allowed to get his second term ticket. But we're not even there yet. But everything you are seeing, the other currents, all of the permutations, the national chairman should not be holding a press conference in Abuja after the crisis in Iyamho over the weekend and be pointing fingers at the deputy governor of Edo. It's not necessary. That is like pouring more petrol into the fire. At this time, we should be looking at how we can solve this problem, because clearly we have a problem, and I still believe it is not too late for them to sit down, like brothers, and find what I call a political solution to this.
Well, Kassim, are you there? I hope you've been listening to some of the points being made by Ehi Braimah, trying to explain what is going on now, how this is all about the politics of second time, the coming gubernatorial election in 2020. But let me ask you, the governor, in one of his public statements, said, actually, this is all about people wanting to share Edo State money, and that he is not ready to share money to anybody, that he is interested in serving the people of Edo State. Now, Adams Oshiomhole responded and said nobody is asking him for money, and that in actual fact, he only nominated one person to be in the Edo State cabinet, but that what he wants is political continuity. Now, is it morally right for a man who has been governor, who is out of the place, to be talking about continuity in a manner that, those who are in the saddle now assume that he's trying to supervise them or control them? What do you think?
Well, thank you very much. Let me also commend Ehi Braimah for his very wonderful introspection into the crisis in Edo. But he is talking about Comrade Adams Oshiomhole playing the father figure. I think I would rather suggest that if a father figure is willing to sit down and talk, what about if the political son is not willing to? A political father figure will only be willing to talk to a willing political godson, so to speak. But the politics, of course, is right to say that the issue is about the politics of 2020. But the responsibility is more on the side of the governor, who is going to be seeking re-election, and he will be needing the votes of everyone for him to become victorious at the elections, if peradventure and eventually he gets a ticket. So I am of the opinion that a man who is seeking re-election, Oshiomhole is not seeking re-election. He has served his term, his constitutional term is barred from contesting. So you are the one seeking for votes. You are the one who is going to reach out. You are going to campaign. By the time you get the ticket, you are going to campaign in Iyamho. You are going to campaign in other places across the state. So to that extent, I expect that he should be the one reaching out and try to mitigate, the impact and the effect of this kind of attacks. Yeah, coming to your question about sharing money and all of that, I think for me, from an insider perspective, because I served in that government, in the government of Oshiomhole, I witnessed, blow by blow what happened in 2016. I think the motivation for giving Obaseki the ticket ab initio in 2016 was because Oshiomhole felt he was one of us, a member of cabinet, who was his economic advisor, and who understood the ideas that factorize all the legacy projects that Oshiomhole commenced. And to that extent, he wanted a continuity of those projects, not necessarily continuity in terms of sharing money or anything like that. So to that extent, Obaseki got the nod against all permutations. And today, persons in the state are now saying, oh, he serves Oshiomhole right because he didn't listen to us. He brought Obaseki. He didn't listen to us. We told him no, he's not going to continue projects. One of the projects is Edo State, Benin City Stormwater Project. Another one is the specialist hospital that was built. Another one is this university that was being, that the convocation heard about 4 days ago. And the red roof revolution of the secondary school renovation across the state. So these were the issues he canvassed. Oshiomhole personally persuaded me because I didn't support Obaseki's aspiration. I was supporting Chris Ogewanyi, former GED NMPC, because I felt that he is more of a father figure that will be able to leverage on the achievements of Oshiomhole with a view to taking Edo to the next level. But that didn't work out. So when Obaseki became the candidate, I had no option than to support. But coming to the issue of sharing money, I think that's sheer blackmail. That's just sheer blackmail.
Okay, let me come back to Ehi Braimah.
To ask is
let's come back to
finish my stream of thought.
Okay, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
If you say don't share money, that you don't want to share money and all of that, I want to believe that some of these persons who are being mobilized to convocation grounds and all of that, it all requires money. So it means that you are also spending money for the wrong reasons. You cannot mobilize people on Okada riders and all of that to convocation venue without giving them money. So you're also spending money for the wrong reason. I think we should face the issues. Those states, just like Ehi Braimah said, is in crisis as a result of this altercation between two dominant factors. And because the national chairman is also from Edo and the governor is also from Edo, it's usually a problem in political equation when you have to balance them. What does the chairman want? What does the governor want? And all of that. But if proper party discipline is to follow, the governor should defer to the national chairman of his party.
Yes, Braimah, I don't know whether you want to react to that because this looks like now we're dealing with conflict between political godson and political godfather. At what point will we have, open politics without godfathers and who expect godsons to show gratitude or to be subservient?
We cannot remove the crisis in Edo State from the larger issues in Nigerian politics. I mean, we all agree to that. But coming to Edo State, I repeat that we should search for a political solution. And the whole idea of having 14 members of the State House of Assembly hold up in Abuja and the rest of them, in the State House of Assembly is also not a good development for the Edo people. You have 24 members who are from the same party in the House of Assembly, but they cannot even come together. I want to also ask them, those of them in Abuja, there are 14, to come back to Edo State, go to Benin and join their colleagues in the House of Assembly. Because at the end of the day, this tenure is just 4 years. Then another 4 years and it's all over. Even the national chairman of the APC will not be there forever. We'll all return home someday. So I think we should look beyond the politics of the moment and see how we can serve Edo people. Because Edo people are the receiving end. When two elephants are fighting, as the popular cliche goes, it is the grass that suffers. So I want to repeat that the reforms carried out, obviously, by His Excellency, the Governor of Edo State, Godwin Obaseki, clearly did not go down with a lot of people. One has to do with, I have to say it, some of the revenue contractors, as it were, who served under the immediate past governor, the chairman of the APC, have been removed. And most of them don't have easy access to money anymore. I think that's another major challenge that's at the root of this problem. And most of the power players, as it were, who have been there right from when Chief Lucky Maiden was governor, they are still in the system. And most of them are not happy because of some of the fundamental reforms that His Excellency has carried out. So, but I want to say at the end of the day, we are all Edo citizens. We have our disagreements in politics. We must come together, to find a solution so that we can get away from this political impasse.
Okay, and Mr. Afegbua, back to you. Would you agree with that school of thought that has just been expressed by Mr. Braimah here in our Lagos studios?
Well, I don't know how much of Edo politics and internal dynamics that Mr. Ehi Braimah knows. But listening to him, I think he has a fair idea of what is going on, but not the bigger picture. And why do I say that? You see, this idea of saying that revenue collectors were barred from having access to easy money is also a product of blackmail. When you were looking for governorship of the state, you reached out to all manners of persons, all categories of persons, the people you call thugs and all of these hooligans and all of that. You patronized them. You visited their homes. You look for, you needed their votes to become governor. Having become governor, of course, you will have your own template with respect to governance and service delivery. What I expect to see was a politics of inclusion and not politics of exclusion. Having used people and you dumping them, by human nature, they are bound to respond in certain ways. And so to that extent, you do not say because you are not governor, you have your templates, you don't want these people easy access to money. As we speak, are there no revenue collectors in Edo State? Are they not selling tickets? They are doing that. At least I know for sure the company in my community, Okbela, Boa Cement, people are collecting tickets there on behalf of government. So what are we talking about? What you should do as a government is to bring these people into financial inclusion, to the extent that you can even also tax them. They can be paying taxes or build clusters of small entrepreneurs to the extent that they will buy into your own government programs. You need a conducive environment to translate your policies and programs into actionable, edible whole for the people to benefit from. Edo people would rather want a situation where there is peace and tranquility, there is security, so that they can pursue their legitimate aspirations day in, day out. But you see, the moment you start segregating, oh, these are thugs, I don't want to use them and all of that. Meanwhile, there's also another school of thought that says you are promoting thuggery on the other hand. So for me, I would rather that the governor should see the entire state as his constituency, reach out to the youths, get them involved in whatever way they can be useful. They have energies to dispense with. So utilize these energies so that in the final analysis, the state will be better for it.
Well, we'll soon go on a short break, but Braimah, we'll come back to you. Now, Oshiomhole is on record as having said that Obaseki is trying to retire old politicians. Now, would that be fair on the part of Godwin Obaseki as governor? For somebody to give you the opportunity to succeed him, and then your first task is to see how you want to retire the old politicians in the state. Is it not the right thing for Oshiomhole and maybe his own associates to fight for their own political survival?
I agree with Kassim that I'm not a politician, I'm a professional and a concerned citizen of Edo State. So we are disturbed at what is going on. We're talking about retiring politicians.
Old ones.
I remember too that when the comrade governor was in office as a governor of Edo State, I remember he said he was going to end Godfatherism. And I remember the fight he took on so many formidable politicians in Edo State, including the late Mr. Fixer of the PDP, Tony Anene. But having said that, I agree with the point Kassim made about inclusion. The kind of politics we play and the nuances that surround those issues.
Well, we'll take another short break.
Yes.
Braimah, when we continue, when we return, you will continue with that line of thought. Okay. We'll be right back. You're still watching The Morning Show here on Arise News. You're still watching The Morning Show here on the Arise News channel. And still with us in our Abuja studio is Kassim Afegbua. And here in Lagos, we have Ehi Braimah. Now, before we went on break, Ehi, I'd ask you a question about, godfathers and godsons, and the plan to retire old politicians, as alleged by Oshiomhole on the part of Obaseki. And you yourself recited the example of the relationship between Comrade Adams Oshiomhole as governor and Chief Anthony Anene.
And others.
And others.
Chief John,
even Chief John Odige Oyegun,
of course,
who was in office as governor of Edo State, and later, the APC chairman at the national level. So, if Godwin Obaseki is trying to retire Oshiomhole, is this not a case of karma, a case of what goes round comes round?
I don't even think it's about Obaseki retiring Adams Oshiomhole.
Okay.
I don't think so. I think it's about, they have political differences. That has to do with some agreement that I don't know about, maybe. But at the end of the day, I want to agree with Kassim, as I was saying, that there should be politics of inclusion for all Edo people, regardless of where they come from. That is very important in finding a political solution to what is going on. Because at the end of the day, what played out last Saturday, at Iyamho can happen again, maybe on a more violent scale. And that is not what we want. It means as we get closer to the primaries, next year, the political temperature will keep on rising. I think at this time, all those citizens, both at home and abroad, should be concerned about how we can, find a solution to this problem. And to know that the same comrade governor, who APC chairman now, campaigned vigorously for Godwin Obaseki. I mean, you heard what Kassim said, that Obaseki was not his preferred candidate. But that is really neither here nor there now. Obaseki is the governor of Edo State, and I think he should be given his dues. We should allow him to run the state as governor, but at the same time, working collaboratively. It talks about there must be proper stakeholder management, with Edo people, both in Benin and in Abuja. That is very important. And secondly, the members-elect who are still in Abuja, they should come back to Edo State. I mean, that should be part.
They say the state is not safe for them.
No, the state is very safe.
And if there are many thugs, on the streets of Edo State,
I agree.
Will it make sense for them to come and confront thugs?
Thugs can access the chief security officer.
I agree.
Of the state,
that is where the national chairman of the party has to take full responsibility and play the role of a leader. It is for him to make that move and lead by example. Yeah, I said it before, he should play the role of a statesman in this matter, because clearly we have issues. And what are these issues? The national chairman of the party and the state governor, they are clearly not on the same page at this time. And so what do we need to do, to solve this problem? And I think that should be the conversation by every concerned Edo citizen and everybody in Nigeria who is peace-loving. So, because we cannot continue like this until 2020. It's going to be very serious.
The politics of inclusion is important, but do you also think that maybe we're also just overplaying godfatherism here, and we overplay the role of godfatherism in politics here at home, because we seem to be putting so much emphasis on this relationship between the national chairman of the APC and the current governor of the state, but what if that shouldn't be the key focus here, because the key focus should inevitably just be the development of the state, which the chief security officer and chief executive of the state is in charge of, being the governor. Are we putting too much emphasis on godfatherism? And that's a question I'm also going to throw over to Abuja in just a second.
Absolutely, I agree with you there. Politics really, ideally should be a service, about service to the people. But we both know what goes on in this country. 90% of the time, it's about politics of the stomach. It is about gaming the system to your own advantage. It is about not really serving the people. But I think His Excellency, the governor, wants to serve his people, and I believe him. You know, he has a mandate, and some people say, oh, he should stop playing governor and play politics the way we play politics here. If you decide to make a difference as a governor, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But I also agree that there must be a meeting point with other key stakeholders in the state, but without losing focus, taking his eyes off the ball, because the people of Edo State, they want good roads, they want good schools, they want jobs. I'm aware that the governor, by the 25th of every month, he has paid everybody. There's not any workers in Edo State. What else can you possibly ask for? I'm also aware even pension bills that were pending from 2014 to date, he has cleared everything. And this is a state, we know the IGR is not like what you will find in a state like Lagos State. So let Obaseki, with his private sector background, be allowed to deliver, you know, the dividends of democracy to his people. And honestly, I'm actually surprised, knowing that just 3-4 years back, this story was not like this. You know, with Iyamho, who was the chief economic advisor. He was the head of the economic team when Oshiomhole was governor. So at what point did they drop the ball? That's the question we should be asking. And I want to ask my brother in Abuja that we should be focusing on how we can solve this problem, because it's becoming a national embarrassment to all Edo people. Yes.
So we'll head over to Abuja then, and I'll take a retake on that question. At what point did they drop the ball, and what is the way forward here, in your opinion?
Well, as a member of the PDP, which is an opposition party in the state, the more the crisis continues, the better for PDP, so that we can also use cashing on this to defeat the APC.
But you claim to care about your state.
Sorry?
You claim to care about your state, but you're speaking of party politics here.
No, listen, I care about my state, but when two actors are locked in this kind of Cold War, what do you expect? I have personally made efforts. I have met both parties because I relate with both of them. I have asked what the issues are, and I can't place my hand on the jar that these are the issues. You see, but I know that the point of departure was the last primary election of the APC. The party structure in the state conducted a primary election where candidates emerged in flagrant violation of the constitution of the APC, which vested that power in the federal. So the Oshiomhole-led federal APC decided to send a fresh team to conduct the same primaries. That, to me, I told them, it was breakdown in communication. If they were relating very well to themselves, the state APC will not conduct its own primary, and the federal will come on to conduct in line with the party constitution. So at that point, individuals, persons who are loyalists to the two different actors were now, fueling the crisis, and to the extent that neither of them wanted to sit down to talk. There have been a lot of intervention. The multi-billionaire Aliko Dangote had intervened, Fayemi had intervened, Erufai and some of these APC governors. They have intervened. But if you ask me, what are the issues? If they will resolve today, tomorrow they will go back to the drawing board and trying to foment more trouble, more crisis. I think the missing link, which I said earlier, is the fact that the government of the day has a greater responsibility, that is the government in Edo State, has a greater responsibility to reach out to members of the APC who are feeling aggrieved because he needs them for his own second-term aspiration. Whether you like it or not, you need more votes, you need people to buy into your aspiration so that in the final analysis, you could be re-elected. But my thinking as a partisan politician, a member of the PDP, is when two elephants fight, the grasses will suffer, and there will be a new dynamics, and that dynamic will be the PDP, so that in the final analysis will teach them how to govern the state, since they seem not to know what to do in this kind of scenario.
Let me take him up on that.
Kassim Ehi Braimah says he wants to take you up on this.
Kassim, this is not about PDP getting the advantage. What did PDP do for the period they will govern Edo State? I would like you to answer that question subsequently, but this is not about PDP now. You mentioned some of the very, very prominent Nigerians that have intervened in this matter. Yes, I agree with you. I'm aware that Aliko Dangote, I'm aware that some of the governors have tried to, resolve this matter. I still think that there will be a solution at the end of the day. It is not beyond redemption, and it will be a political solution. Just to support what you are saying, that His Excellency Governor Obaseki should reach out more to Edo people who, because he rightly said he deserves a second term, and I agree with him. But the politics of achieving that goal, we need to expand that. We need to expand the conversation, and then we need to engage more with more stakeholders in Edo State, because no matter how we look at this matter, there are people on both sides. Some of them supporting Oshiomhole, and some. Initially, I recall that they were saying they didn't have any problem, that there was no issue. The problem, I think at one time, the media was even blamed as, escalating the issues. But it's now clear that with one press conference after another, that we are beginning to understand the deeper issues. I expect His Excellency, the Governor, Godwin Obaseki, to sit back and look at the bigger picture at this time and see how we can find a lasting solution to this political crisis. It is not helping the image of Edo State, and to know that some of us are reputation managers, it is not good for the image of Edo State. I keep getting messages, what is happening in Edo State, even people who are not from my state, So, as I speak, a lot of people are watching, both at home and abroad, and their major concern is, they say they are not interested in trading blames, but in finding a lasting solution, and that's where I stand too. So this is not about PDP politics or PDP coming back in 2020.
Well, within a minute, we'll be closing this segment of the program. But Kassim, do you want to comment on these lawmakers who are on exile in Abuja? Ehi Braimah has been saying that, look, they should go back home.
You raise a very valid question when you ask Ehi Braimah. You say, what about their security? If it is guaranteed that they will be secured, they are willing to go back home. But the Edo State now is not the way you are saying it. It's so volatile, it's so militarized, it's so radicalized, to the extent that you don't forget that when they did the press conference at Golden Tulip Hotel, they were randomly beaten up and manhandled, to the extent that the chief security officer of the governor had to be transferred from the state. So these persons are afraid for their own lives. That's why they are not going back home. I am of the opinion that they should go back home, sit back and get inaugurated.
Well, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Provided that
thank you very much, Kassim Afegbua. Thank you very much, Ehi Braimah. Very interesting conversation around the situation of things in Edo State.